So I'm just doing this video to talk a little bit about how I'm dealing with the new CARB requirements in California. And one of my solutions was to, rather than get another 5 to 10 trucks to replace all my old trucks, I'm going to get just several trucks and have them multifunctional. And by multifunctional, I mean it's going to be basically what they call a hook and go. This is my first setup that's been built to that idea. And as you can see there, it's got what looks like a roll-off bin on it. Basically, that's what it is. It's just a big roll-off bin. I've ordered it with two bins. One's a heavy-duty bin, and one's more of a construction debris type bin, just to see what the differences were in them and how they would affect my business or work with my business. And what I've learned, and I'll show you a little bit more about this as we go here. The heavy-duty bin's a little bit shorter, but it does not have a crossbar across the back, which is really convenient for me because I like to haul a lot of logs. And when you're dumping logs, any kind of obstacle across the back up high is going to get hung up on the logs and just get bent. So I use that bin to haul logs in. The construction debris bin has that crossbar, but then it's, instead of one big door that opens, it's two, I guess you'd say, like French doors that open with a cam lock system. And that's great for just a lot of lighter weight, big volumes of lighter weight material like wood chips or construction debris, or whatever it is that's not real heavy. And the reason I like to use bins rather than a logging truck setup like a flatbed with stakes is that on my route, when I go to the sawmill and drop off logs, on the way back I go past or really close to a quarry. So I like to stop in there and get a load of gravel. And you can only do that with a dump truck or a bin like this. So that's my intention. I haven't hauled any gravel yet with one of these bins, but I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, it's very easy to overload yourself with a bin that big. It's 30 cubic yards. So, we just, at the quarry, of course, they have scales, so we just check our weight, make sure we're not overloaded. The truck itself does end up being a little bit heavier when it's empty, just because of the hook and go system does have some substantial weight to it. But the versatility I gained with this system, I think, is going to way more than pay for itself in the long term, and registration and insurance and maintenance and upkeep of these multiple trucks versus one with multi-function. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I dump this load and take it to the back. I'm going to take this bin off, which is the construction bin, and I'm going to put the other bin on that's heavier duty for hauling logs. And you'll see just how convenient it really is. And then keep in mind, I think there's 20 or so other beds available for this setup. You could have a water tank that's set up for Forest Service and firefighting specifications, flatbed with stakes for logs, or flatbed for hauling equipment, even a demolition dump truck, dump box with the standard tailgate, crane. They have a crane option, chipper dumps with the enclosed top. I can't even think of them all. I think they even have a bed for lube oil servicing of equipment with tanks and grease storage and all that. Toolboxes, and the list just goes on. So it really makes one truck extremely versatile. Now, it's not a cheap setup. The hook and go itself, if I'm not mistaken, was about, I'll have to look at the receipts and look at the numbers for you, but I think the total of this hook and go system with the two bins was right around $70,000. And of course, then the cost of the truck itself. It's pretty hard to find these trucks already set up, especially out here in California. For some reason, they just never really have gotten popular, although I think they will here very soon, now that we have these CARB regulations going into effect here in a few months. To the point where they're not going to allow us to register any more older trucks. I believe it's 2,000 years of 2000 and older will no longer be able to be registered as of January 1st of 2020. And we're in right at the end of September right now, 2019. So it won't be much longer, and our older trucks are going to be off the road. So I'm glad we got this when we did, and at least have this to fall back on, along with a few other trucks I've purchased now that are 2012s, 2013s. They're all within compliance. And it's been a real ordeal because of the expense involved, and frankly I didn't want trucks this nice for my operation because they do take a beating, but they are nice to drive. You've got working air conditioning, they're quieter, shift a lot smoother, radios that work. You know, we're not used to that here. We're used to, you know, trucks that are meant to go into the woods and get logs and get them out, and they're just workhorses. And they're great trucks. The older trucks are easier to work on. I'd honestly rather have my old trucks still in service as of 2020, but just not an option anymore. So this is what we're going with, and I think it's going to be a really great solution, and I just want to pass on to you guys that it's, you know, you may have to finance it to get it done, but I think the money, it's going to pay for itself for us. It certainly will. So even though it's money out in the beginning, the money it's going to save us should more than pay for it. And hopefully the versatility of it as well will really help us get these jobs done a lot quicker and smoother, which is also another way to increase revenue.
We're good. Fighting the sun.
Show these cam locks right here. Are you filming?
Yeah, it's just dusty.
It's real dusty. So this particular box is the construction box. The door's locked with these cams, kind of like you'd see on a van trailer. Pretty tough setup. Maybe watch yourself there. Sorry for all the dust. One thing I do like about this setup, and you may have noticed, is when I was putting the bed back down, it's a powered down setup. It doesn't just come down with gravity, you can power it down, so that really makes it nice. You get a log or something hung up in there and it's holding the bed up, on like on a typical dump truck, sometimes you can get stuck with the bed up. In this setup here, you can power the bed back down and keep that from happening. So you can see it's got the crossbar up there. This is the demolition box. So you want to be careful if you've got this thing piled high with logs, you could bend that. So you want to be careful how you're dumping, you know, what kind of debris you put in here and how you dump it. Sometimes you need to just raise it a little bit, let it kind of slide out, pull forward, then raise a little more, let it slide out, pull forward, just to keep that from getting damaged. On the other box we'll show you here in a minute, that's not even there. It's a whole different kind of box. It's a lot heavier duty. I had really no idea what the difference would be when I ordered these, but I'm glad I got that other box. It's really a nice setup. We'll show it to you.
Your hook.
can get a pretty good sense of what the system is. Two fairly large rams here that operate the hook mechanism. Manufacturer is Ample Roll. Company that installed it was Enovin up in Sacramento area. So far I'm really happy with this setup. You need a fairly long wheelbase. I can't remember exactly what this wheelbase is, but as you can see the front up here, you need a fair amount of space just to mount the hydraulics. Probably could have been tightened up a little bit more for a little bit shorter wheelbase truck. But, you know, this is what they wanted, so that's what we got. Anyway, I'm going to show you now just how easy it is. You saw how easy it was to drop that container. I'm going to go over and get this other one, and then we're going to open the back door and just show you the difference between the construction duty and the heavy duty. So what that took us was what, about 30 seconds to switch beds. Really, it's pretty quick and easy. One thing you want to make sure of is when you put the new bed on, you get this piece of metal inside of this channel. I have one time loaded it, I'm not sure even how I did it, but I ended up with this flat bar on top of the channel. Luckily I saw it before I went down the road with the load, because it's not secure when it's like that. You got to make sure that this flat bar is under this channel to lock it into the truck. It's a amazingly stable load on this particular truck. I was very pleased with how stable this load is when it's loaded. You'd think it'd be very top heavy. It really doesn't feel that way at all. Oh, much better. So you see now, no top bar on the side rails. You got double wall or double tubing instead of single tubing. And on the upright rails, they're spaced more closely together. I believe this is 12 inch and that's 16 or 18 inch, I'm not sure. But and then they give you a nice little area there to put your company logo. Both bins are quite robust, I would say. But for me, I prefer this bin for the logs. I prefer that bin for wood chips and firewood and construction debris. We do a lot of demolition. So, and you know, of course, this bin would work for that as well. But I think the overall metal gauges and tubing wall thicknesses and all that are a little bit heavier duty than that one. I know it's quite a bit heavier. So I'm quite pleased with the unit. It's 30 yards in this box, so it'll handle about 3 times as much as our standard dump truck, which we're having to give up first of the year. That's a transfer truck, and we've put a lot of miles on her and that one over there to the gray one. It's just behind that paver. Those have been our workhorses, and this is going to be the truck that replaces these 2 older trucks. So that's it for now, guys. Hope that gives you an idea on how you can maybe afford to comply with CARB, stay in business, and save some money. Thanks for watching.